Hello everyone and welcome back to Harvest Moon Wonderful Life Special Edition. This is Showboat and immediately I'm going to leave the house because I don't remember actually feeding the new cow. I don't remember feeding rats a second time today. Which requires us to milk our cow for a second time, and then take the mother's milk to the small cow, because that's a thing that I need to do, preferably before it goes to sleep. Here you go. Yeah, so no complaints about not doing this. No complaints had better occur. So, in this upcoming day, Van will arrive. He shall arrive, which is glorious. However, that does mean that I need to make sashimi in the meantime. So let us actually go through the process of making sashimi. It is as simple as doing that. And then hopefully the game just won't freeze. Because I have had it freeze once so far. We're not going to change our huge rain bobs because those are worth 300 gold a piece rather than 150. The huge column bows are worth exactly 150, I think, or 130, something like that. I don't know. I convert them anyway, because I don't care. It's the huge hut chips that I tend to make mistakes on because I'm not supposed to convert the huge hut chips. They're worth like 200 or something. I always forget that they're worth more than 150. I get them confused with the Columbo, whatever. So it's the I say relatively early morning edition. It's after 10. Okay, it's 10:45. So actually almost 11 a.m. When I say it's the morning edition because I woke up at an hour ago. Well, an hour and 15 minutes ago was 9:30 in the morning, Central Time. And yeah. It was glorious because I had gone to bed. It was like 2. After 2 when I went to sleep. So this time, when we sleep, we are going to save before going to bed. We're actually going to save before going to bed today. Isn't this just a novel experience? We're actually going to save before going to bed today. And the reason why I went to bed so late, and the reason why I went to bed so late the night prior, it was like after 3 a.m., is because I have been going through on the Code Academy website, and I have been going through their lessons. Oh, the dude's not out here. Now he's out here. I've been going through and I've been doing their course on Python. So learning Python. I figured it would be a decent way to start learning actual coding language. I know basics of code from doing mod work, specifically mod work for Europa Universalis 4, in particular that game. But also Kerbal Space Program its mods. Yeah, so that is what really had started me to get like looking at code. Also, website stuff, basic HTML. I just know basic HTML already. I taught myself that a while ago, but I've always not been happy with not knowing how to code. It's like I know so much about computers and computer hardware, and like I built my own computer. I use my computer for like very extended periods each day, and I don't know code. Like, I don't feel like I know code. I know the basics of the logic of coding, but I don't know actual coding languages. So I decided to go through the Python lessons, and you know what? A lot of it I already knew because a lot of it was just teaching the logic behind the language. Mainly what I was looking for, though, was learning the syntax and how things worked specifically for Python, and it was okay. It was okay. There's some of the lessons that you do that seem a little iffy. A few of them, I don't think they give you sufficient information to do them for someone who's new. But other ones are pretty fine. It's like, for the most part, the experience was you either get it or you don't. That's how it really felt. It's either you get the concept or you don't get the concept, and you have to just look up the answer. Try to figure out the logic behind the answer, mind you, if you do have to look it up, but to try to understand what the logic actually is. But, yeah. I did alright, I think, with it. And I want to go through the other languages that are offered on the site, give myself a refresher on HTML, specifically HTML5. I would like to learn things like JavaScript, that sort of stuff. But ultimately, after going through all of that, I want to just go to some other site because they don't have the particular language that I want to learn, and that's C++, like the C languages. That's more the kind that I want to know, but because those are advanced, they're very strict languages, I guess is how I could put it. I'd like to first learn the easier languages. I mean, Python is like practically the easiest language you can learn. It's like one of the easiest coding languages you can learn because it's not quite as strict in terms of how you format things. Of course, it's strict in terms of you need the right indentations, but you don't need to put semicolons at the end of every line in Python. You don't need all the semicolons at the end of lines. So that it's not strict on that front, but it is strict on required spacing, which, I mean, that's fine. It encourages good coding. There are other languages that aren't strict on the indentation, but you need to have the semicolons at the end of lines, so it's like a reversal. And by the way, if I sound like I have a stuffy nose, it's because I do. Every time after waking up, it's the same deal. It is the same exact deal. To the point where I'm going to pause it. I'm going to, stop recording technically, and then I'm going to blow my nose. So I will be right back. And I'm back. Okay. 6 tissues later, I now can concentrate. But sure enough, I'm still producing mucus, so I'm still going to have a stuffy nose. There's just no getting around it. None. Zero getting around it at all. Alright, fine, whatever. I'm gonna fish. Until Van arrives, because, Van arrives today. But whatever. Everyone's on their quote-unquote vacation day. Note, mind you, that I actually blew my nose before starting the recording today. And I had to do it just then with over 5 tissues. Yeah, yeah, it's a lot that gets produced in the morning. I don't know why. I'm assuming it's some sort of dust allergy or draining of what was produced over the course of the night. That sounds like something that would happen, right? Draining after accumulating through the whole of the night. Since I'm now in an upright position rather than laying down. It makes sense. Trust me. Makes sense. I also took the opportunity to finish my coffee, so now I have to drink water. Which is a shame. So, we were talking about coding, right? Yeah. So I'm going to go through the rest of the lessons on Codecademy, the other courses, I should say. Of course, I'm not paying the $30 a month. Why would I do that? No. Not going to do that. I'm going to go through and I'm going to learn the other languages that they're offering, do the various activities for, like learning website stuff. Because, that's good to know. I do have my own website, so it would be good to know all of the stuff that has to do with websites, how it actually works. Because I'm just on a WordPress installation. It would be good to know how the WordPress installation, actually works behind the scenes. So I can actually make the site better, but, practicality. That's what I need. Practicality to what I'm learning. But ultimately I want to go into the C programming languages, and because that's important when dealing with programs like, Unity, being able to code in C++ to make games. That's sort of a thing that I want to know. Speaking of which, remember how I was talking about the future over the past few videos? Well, a couple days ago now, and it was after recording the video for last time, I got in contact with Alright, so he's open. I got in contact with a recruiter from Full Sail University, which, for those who don't know, Full Sail University has a lot of programs in various entertainment industry type stuff, including video games. I think that's one that they push a lot, is the video game programs. For me specifically, I want to go into their game design program, which specifically I want to go into their online game design program. So we had a nice conversation about that. Yes, I am currently a master's student in geology with a bachelor's in biology. That is fact that I cannot change. But I'm not actually passionate about any of it. I honestly don't give a shit about geology. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't care about it. I don't enjoy what I'm doing. I don't even know what made me think that it was a good idea to even go into geology. At least bio I could tolerate. But I can barely even tolerate geology. So, sashimi. So the main part, the main thing about doing that degree would be paying for it. Obviously, that's the main limiting factor in this ordeal, is that I'll have to pay for it somehow. And I don't know if you know this, but it's difficult getting funding if you already have degrees. Oh, they're worth 500 each. Okay. No, don't you frickin' too bad me. There we go. 600 apiece. Cool, let's go fishing again. As I continue to talk. So, as things currently stand, my federal student loan, like the federal Stafford loans that I have, are currently, they're nearly maxed out for what I can get as a graduate. I say nearly, but I mean, there's still about, there's not enough to go through a full PhD program. Okay? There's not enough to go through a full PhD program without outside income of some description. But there is enough I could theoretically spend another year in this master's degree. But I'm not going to do so. I will graduate in the spring. But the thing that I've been unclear about is that as an undergraduate, I did not use all of my undergraduate allotment from my federal Stafford loans. When you're a graduate, there is a different, much higher amount that you can get from federal Stafford loans that subtracts the amount that you've taken for your undergrad. What I don't know is if I go back to do another undergrad degree, if I can still use the remainder of that allotment that I didn't use when I got my first degree. It theoretically should be possible, even though I've dipped into the graduate allotment. Like, even though I've been using my graduate allotment, there's still enough of a gap in terms of what's left of the graduate allotment to essentially use as part of that unused undergraduate allotment. Because I didn't use a lot of my Stafford loans as an undergraduate because I had a lot of other funding sources. When I went to Old Dominion University, I would get 6 credit hours every semester because my mother worked there. I would get them for free. Plus, I got $3,000 a semester just because I went to ODU. That was an ODU Monarch scholarship due to my grades in high school. And then there was a Virginia grant called the VGAP for graduating from a high school in the state of Virginia that gave me money. And there were Pell Grants, and there was even freaking an alumni scholarship that I ended up getting later on. So I didn't get a lot of loans as an undergrad. I would still get a couple thousand this semester from loans, but I didn't end up with all that much after 4 years. The first year of graduate school, I doubled the amount of loans that I had from federal loans in 1 year. What took 4 years to accumulate as an undergrad took me 1 year, thanks to out-of-state tuition, to accumulate out here. And there was 2 years of that. This year, well, there was a year and a half of that, I should make clear. But even then, even while working as a TA, I still get several thousand from outside loan from the federal loan to pay for like my apartment and various bills. And there has to be some way that I'm affording to have a PC with two GTX 980s in it, plus a monitor that I'm looking at right now that's a 1440p 144 hertz monitor with G-Sync in it. There's a reason I could afford having a PlayStation 3, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Wii U, two Wiis, and a GameCube sitting next to me. But anyway, point being, if I do want to actually go to, if I do actually want to do the online degree for Full Sail University, I'm going to have a way to fund it through outside scholarships. So what I need to do now, because they actually are interested in me, the recruiter actually was pretty clear in that she realized that I was very passionate about gaming. We had a nice conversation about myself and my interests, and going through like, oh, I've got all these games and things. I spend a lot of time playing games, making videos about games, and doing all these wonderful things with technology that I do. And even in my own research now, I'm actually using like Adobe products, using Photoshop and Illustrator in my research that I'm doing to actually make my thesis, because I'm making my figures right now. It's like I'm using all these things. I'm using all these elements of what's in this program that you're offering. I actually want to do this, and that she recognized that, and they offered to waive the application fee so that I can have conversations with their financial aid department to figure out a way to fund this degree, which is really cool. And of course, she told me a whole bunch of information about the program. Apparently, you can get you can buy this package, which I think is required. You have to buy this package that includes a MacBook Pro, as well as all the various different programs that's used over the course of the degree. So it includes like Unity Pro and stuff like that, and all sorts of other stuff to help you go through the various courses. Essentially, it's like a textbook. So you've got all the things. You even get a tablet. I saw online when looking at it. It's like, oh, they also send you an Android tablet, but they send you a MacBook Pro, but they send you a Android tablet and not an iPad, which I found interesting. It's like, okay, of course, the main thing being, I've never used Mac. Like, I don't use Mac on a regular basis. I've been on a Mac for brief periods of time, but I've never actually owned a Mac. Like, in my life, I've never owned a Mac. The only thing from their company that I ever owned was, I think it was a Generation 1 iPod Nano that I won by raffle. So I didn't even buy it myself. I won it in a raffle. I still have it somewhere. Its battery is like gone, non-existent anymore for holding a charge. But theoretically, I have an iPod Nano. Thing is, all of its functionality is pointless when all of it's handled by my phone. So there's no point in it now. It was the only thing from Apple that I owned, and I remember winning it, and it's like, I don't actually want. I said leading up to that raffle that I didn't actually want to win the thing because I don't want an Apple product. but I want it anyway. I mean, since I did end up using it, but yeah, it was the only thing I ever had from that company that I just owned. My phone is Android. It's not an iPhone. I've never had an iPhone, and I've never had an Apple computer. So that would be a new experience for me. But it seems like they have you dual boot it. It's like you dual boot OS X and Windows on the thing, which is interesting because they say they give you a copy of Windows operating system as part of the package. It's like okay, but you're sending me a MacBook Pro. Sure? Question mark. What if they have you run? They probably also have you run Linux on the thing. Most likely, they have you run all the various operating systems so that you can program, and then you can make your game, and then you can test it in the various operating system environments, which makes sense, right? Especially in game design, in particular, because in game design you sort of get your hands in all the various elements of making game. You have to have a basic understanding of what the art team is doing, what the coding team is doing. Because for those who don't know how games are actually made, you have your people who are specifically programmers, and then you have your people who are specifically your artists and your modelers and such. And so you've got the creative side, you've got the coding language side that need to be directed. So that's what the game designer role is. The game designer is the one who's coming up with the concept of the game, coming up with the story behind the game, how it functions. It's basically just putting everything together. Like, once you have your art and your base code, you're the one who ends up putting it all together into what ends up being a video game. Which is what I am more interested in. I am not quite as interested in the inner workings sort of deal. In terms of the coding stuff, which, by the way, they only offer on campus, which I found weird. It's like, why would you put the game coding program? I forget the actual name of it, but it's coding for games. Why would you only have that on campus and not have an online option for that one in particular? I didn't ask that, but yeah, it just is weird. It's like, you'd think that learning code would be one thing in particular that would be ideal in an online environment, but I guess they don't seem to think so. They have game design and they have the game art with online courses, but they don't have the coding front on the online courses. It's just an interesting thing that I noted. An interesting thing. Any hoozle, let's feed our cow again, and then go to bed. So yeah, it's interesting. It's a program that I want to do. The degree is under 3 years. Because essentially the way they do it is you do one course per month. That's how it works. You get one course per month. And I guess no breaks. So you start, you do one course every month. It's about 20 hours of work a week, so it's like a half-time job, which I'm fine with. I work a half-time job right now. And I have plenty of time. So, yeah, it's about the workload equivalent of a half-time job. And you go through and you finish in under 3 years for this particular degree. Other degrees are faster, but this particular one is under 3 years. Hi. She just talked to me by herself. I didn't even click the button to talk to me. So we shall save, and we shall end things off here with a note that even though this is something I would really like to do, I still need the funding to do so. So that is something I need to look at in great detail. With that, I want to thank you all for watching. This has been Showboat, and I will see you all on the next one.